Now we're going to talk about the Joe Biden border crisis. It says there's no end in sight inside the Biden administration failure to contain the border surge. It says shortly before Christmas of last year, Susan Rice and Jake Sullivan, two of the top advisors to President-elect Joe Biden, sat for an interview with EFE, a Spanish wire service, to issue a stark warning to migrants considering journeying north to the nation's southern border. Don't come. Help is on the way, is what they told them from the Biden administration. Right? Don't come because help is on the way. Joe Biden actually became president. We know, because this is before he became president. This was the statements the Biden campaign was putting out. So then we know Joe Biden actually became president and won the presidency. And guess what? There's no goddamn help in sight for any of these people. So that was a goddamn lie. I'm gonna just let you know that now. Help is not on the way. It's definitely not on the way. So I will give Trump the framing. I don't agree with none of the framing as he's trying to paint all these people to be murderers and rapists and drug traffickers, drug and human traffickers. And the reason he's doing that is because you remember earlier I did the story about Laura Trump. Laura Trump came out and told the white people to get the guns and start shooting the Mexican people. So it's easy to justify you shooting them if you don't look at them as human beings and you look at them as criminals. They're drug dealers. They're banditos. They're rapists. They're this, they're that, right? You just want to justify your savagery as a white person. White people are some savage people, man. Not all white people, but a lot of white people, especially white Republicans that prescribe to this type of shit, right? So if you can consider them to be banditos, that's why I said that's racist as hell. So you consider them to be some type of drug traffickers, or they're all violent and they're all criminals, then you can feel free and justified shooting them, right? You want to shoot down human beings, and then you want to say dumb shit to try to justify and make yourself feel better in doing it. And you won't even, these would be the same people that want to try to save the dogs and the cats and shit. These would be the same people that don't want to hurt the animals, but feel comfortable killing your fellow brother and sister. It makes no goddamn, that's what I said, man. I think most Republicans got mental health issues. It makes no goddamn sense. These would be the same people that, oh my God, you got to save the dog. They'll do anything to save the dog. But when it comes to human beings, let's go gun them down. And then let's tell ourselves that they're all rapists. But again, like I said, Trump was locking up women and children and separating families and grandmothers and grandfathers. They weren't locking up no cartel members. It says illegal border crossings have exploded 674% in a year. Biden's migrant crisis worsens with 180,000 crosses in May, and this year he's on track to be the highest year since 2006. It's a crisis at the border, man. Right? It says illegal border crossings have increased for the fourth month in a row, to growing to 180,034 in May, according to the U.S. Customs Border Protection. Says they were also up by 674%. God damn, on crossing recorded in May 2020, when 23,237 illegal migrants were apprehended. It says that represented a slight increase over the approximate 178,000. Axios reported that preliminary CBP data from the fiscal year of 2021 showed that illegal crossings have been the most since 2006. So Biden's trying to act like, and Carmela's trying to act like they got shit under control, but they ain't nothing under control, man. This shit is far from being under control. And I think Biden might be, they might be in over their damn heads, if you really want to know the truth about it, right? I don't know exactly what the hell Trump left them. I do know that Trump left a goddamn mess, but I'm not the type that's still gonna make no excuse because, again, like I said, Biden is president now. So whether Trump left a goddamn mess or not, you've been president now, what's 5 months, going on 6 months? We got to start getting this shit cleaned up, because that's what you said you were going to be able to do. You act like it was going to be so easy. You say Trump is incompetent, and now you get in there and I can't believe that shit is up by over 600, almost 700%. It is truly unbelievable. It says illegal border crossings have exploded by 674% in a year, with 180,000 being recorded in May. It says newly released figures from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection show the number of migrants skyrocketed sixfold from 23,237 who crossed from Mexico into the United States since 2020. It says last year's numbers was far lower than usual because of COVID outbreaks. But this year, figures still spell worrying news for Joe Biden, with 2021 on track to record the highest number of illegal immigrants since 2006. It says, it goes on to say in this article that single adults still represented the majority of the border crossers, data from the U.S. Border Patrol showed. In May, there were a decrease in the number of unoccupied minors from roughly 16,910 to 13,906, Border Patrol has found. It says the CBP also said that the majority of those who crossed the border were already expelled due to Title 42, which allows the U.S. government to quickly remove people using COVID-19 pandemic. Of the 180,034 crossers, 112,302 had already been expelled. So that still leaves about a net of 68,000 people who actually made it, right? Because it says 180, 112, 180,000, then 100 and minus 112,000, still leads you to about 68,000 people who are making it across that goddamn border. It says Axios reported on Tuesday that preliminary CBP data from the fiscal year 2021 showed that illegal crossings have been the most since 2006, with 4 months still to go. Additionally, on Tuesday, the Department of Health and Human Services reported that 16,200 children were still in custody, which is 50% higher than the levels in March. So the children that they're keeping is starting to increase. Basically, it ain't no different from what's under Trump. Biden talked all that shit about how Trump is handling the border, women being separated from their children, children being separated from their parents, and Biden's policy, what he's doing at the border, ain't no goddamn better. And things are getting worse. This is getting worse to the fact that Biden started talking about building the wall again. Right? You had Joe Biden talk all that shit about Trump's wall.
The thousands and thousands and thousands, and we built almost 500 miles of border wall, the exact wall that the Border Patrol wanted. I thought we could use nice concrete plank. Just knock it out. They said, sir, we want steel, concrete, and rebar. And it has to be wired, sir. So we can have all the drones, the Democrat. Remember they wanted drones? I said, drones are not going to stop people. You remember the statement during the campaign? Two things, everything's obsolete like 2 days after they come up with it nowadays, right? Computers, everything obsolete. They get a better one. Two things, right? What are they? Wheels and walls. They never change. In 1,000 years, you'll say wheels and walls. Walls work. Walls work. Just ask Nancy Pelosi. She has a nice wall around her house.
How stupid it was. It didn't make any sense. How it wasn't going to work. And it's horrendous and it's racist and it's all this and that. And literally, I read a report a couple weeks back where Biden started the production on building the wall again. He crunk it back up. And then he got busted, I believe. Right? It came out because he got busted because I read about the shit. Then he tried to hurry up and cancel it again. But this is how desperate he's so damn desperate that he's basically gonna get ahead and, because he's still using Trump policies. It ain't like he did away with them, right? And they trying to use this COVID shit to basically discriminate against the Mexican people. And Carmela asked, I'm gonna read something about Kamala Harris asked too. But it's just funny how Biden talked all that shit about Trump and then adopted the same exact policies and having the same issues and basically handling it the same goddamn way. So that don't make no goddamn sense. That's why I said that Republicans ain't the only ones who got problems. Democrats are just the shit. That's why I don't understand how anybody report the Democrats or the Republicans. It's just, I look at both of you motherfuckers like fools to me. Like when I think about everything logically, I see like both of y'all are, both sides are imbeciles. It says HHS Secretary Xavier Becerra appeared before the Ways and Means Committee to face questions about the border crisis. President Joe Biden has promised to reunite families separated during the Trump administration and to expedite processing of unaccompanied minors who have arrived at the border in the last few months. However, a new report from the Biden's task force of reunited families indicates that 2,127 children have not yet been reunified with their parents. The poor showing in progress at the border comes on the heels of Vice President Kamala Harris's trip to Guatemala and Mexico, where she faced backlash for laughing her way through serious topics and handing out cookies on This bitch, Carmela is something else. It says where she faced backlash for laughing her way through serious topics and handing out cookies on the Air Force Two flight with her faceless likeness printed on them. She handed out cookies of her goddamn self. Somehow she had some cookies that had her face on them and she was handing them out. This is how goddamn narcissistic and full of herself this woman is. I guess they probably did eat that damn cookie because they wanted to imagine biting your damn head off. Silly ass little girl. I hope she don't become president. I don't give a damn if she is black. I ain't gonna vote for her black ass. Now, I'm gonna play. This is from Guatemala's president, and he's basically blaming Kamala Harris. He's basically, the Guatemala president is basically siding with Trump and saying basically, yeah, everything that Trump is saying about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris is basically goddamn true, right? This is the Guatemala president in his own goddamn words. I'm gonna play this video, read the subtitles because it's in Spanish if you don't speak Spanish, and you can read along. But he's basically saying and echoing exactly what Trump is saying, is basically Biden and Kamala Harris has no goddamn idea what they're doing on the border.
Porque hay mensajes confundidas de Estados Unidos. La ley cambia mucho y cambió mucho adentro de una administración hasta el otro.
Bueno, yo se lo hice ver que mensajes humanitarios fueron utilizados aquí por los coyotes de una manera totalmente tergiversada, porque dijeron allá vamos a propiciar la reunificación familiar, y pasaron los coyotes llevándose a los niños y adolescentes para los Estados Unidos, y se llenaron las fronteras, no solo con gente de Guatemala, con un montón. Por eso es que le hemos propuesto que los mensajes sean claros. La vicepresidenta ayer mandó un mensaje muy claro, dijo, no se vayan porque no los vamos a dejar entrar. Ese es un mensaje claro. Pero un mensaje tibio, lo único que genera es la posibilidad de que haya malinterpretación. Se pueden decir los mensajes de buena fe, pero va a haber gente que lo va a malinterpretar.
So there you go. Basically, the Guatemala president is basically saying it's Joe Biden and Kamala Harris' fault that all these damn people are flooding to the border, because you promised them that you was going to reunite them with their families if they came. So that's giving them an incentive. It don't matter if they send their children over first. It don't matter if they separate, because Joe Biden, the president, is going to make sure we get back together. He's saying basically you don't have a clear message, right? So the message is wishy-washy, and that, of course, in turn, is going to cause people to want to come over because they think they're going to get away with it. So it says here that, and I quote, it says, what they said in the U.S. is that they will promote family unification. So the coyotes took the children and teenagers to the U.S. and the order was full, not only with people from Guatemala. It says messages should be clear, but if you have a lukewarm message, it only creates the opportunity to be misinterpreted. The White House is said to be perplexed on Harris's trip to Guatemala and Mexico. It says Harris, who had little foreign policy experience before taking office, had said the trip would focus on the root causes of migration to the U.S. and touted herself as a success. It says Harris's trip had left her team frustrated and the White House perplexed as to why the VP was not more prepared to answer questions on the border, right? So when they was asking the question, she was flustered. She said some crazy. Kamala Harris said some shit on the border. She was like, the interviewer asked her, he said, so why haven't you been to the border crisis yet? She said, I also haven't been to Europe. I don't see what's the big deal. I'm going to play that video if I can find it. And I'm going to tell you what the hell the big deal is. You dumbass witch. The big deal is Europe ain't in the goddamn crisis now, are they? So why the hell would you go to the European border? The European border ain't in a crisis, so you don't have to go to Europe, you jackass. You would go to the Guatemala and Mexican border because they are in fucking crisis. She's like, I also haven't been to Europe. But Europe ain't in a crisis. And nobody in the mainstream media pushed back on her and said this, and nobody I seen mention this. Like, this is common sense. What do you mean you haven't been to goddamn Europe? Why would you go to Europe, again, when Europe is not in a damn border crisis? But Mexican border in Guatemala is, so you should go visit that border. It says, Harris said in the quote, at some point, we are going to the border. Then she said, we have been to the border, Harris replied. This whole thing about the border We've been to the border. We've been to the border. She has not personally visited the border yet, as everybody has reported. Why she keeps saying we ain't did shit. You ain't did a damn thing. It says no willingness to fix the problem at the border during her trip with meeting with leaders of Guatemala and Mexico. Ted Cruz was mocking Senator Harris. You got the Republicans just bashing Biden and Harris on this goddamn border issue, and for good cause. Cruz alleges that Biden and Harris could fix the issue at the border tomorrow by ending the catch and release and reinstating the remain in Mexico policy. Harris had also laughed 2 months ago when she was asked if she has plans to visit the border. Harris had responded to the question before bursting out into laughter outside of Air Force One, but I have before, and I'm sure I will again. So she said not, this is what she said when they asked her has she been plans to visit the border. She said not today. Harris responded to the question before bursting out into laughter outside of Air Force One, but she said I have before, and I'm sure I will again. Harris has also received criticism for the left for taking a hard approach on migrants and her commenting, telling them not to attempt to come to the U.S. That's another thing Harris said in this video that I'm going to show. Well, I don't really have to show the video because it was just a snippet. She basically told the people of Guatemala and Mexico not to come. She said, don't come, because she feared that if they come, they won't be able to seek asylum and be let in. My whole point about this, and it has been said already, is that it's not illegal for them to come to the border because that's what they're legally supposed to do. They're supposed to come to the border to seek asylum legally. That's their legal right to do that. So if you telling them not to come and making it seem like them coming to the border is breaking the goddamn law, no, that is how the law is supposed to work. They're supposed to come to the border and seek asylum. You can't tell them not to come to the goddamn border at all. Or basically, you're just saying you're not going to help these people. It says Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said that Harris' comments were disappointing to see. First, seeking asylum at the U.S. border is a 100% legal method of arrival. Second, the U.S. spent decades contributing to regime change and the destabilization in Latin America, she wrote on Twitter. Cortez also said, we can't help set someone's house on fire and then blame them for fleeing. The White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said on Tuesday that she expects Harris will visit the border at some point, which she don't have no goddamn idea, but I guess Biden, he thinks she's going to, because Biden put Harris in charge of shit. At some point she's going to visit, I don't know. We don't know when, but she's, right? Ain't she going to visit? Joe Biden don't know if he coming to goddamn going. It says the White House has prompted to spend $4 billion to address the root causes of migration in the countries such as Guatemala and Honduras. The root causes is you a jackass, and I'm with Donald Trump on this one. This is just a debacle. This is a debacle the way they handle it. And to tell these people not to come to seek asylum, and I would agree with Cortez, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on this one. That is 100% legal and their right to come to the border to seek asylum. That is what they're supposed to do. That is how it's supposed to work. So to tell people that don't, not even to come, is ludicrous.